Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Wonkhe podcast. I'm Debbie McVitty, the editor of Wonkhe, and I recently sat down with Welsh Education Minister Kirsty Williams to discuss higher education, what it's like to work with Vice Chancellors, and the juggling act of being a woman in public life. So Kirsty, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to start by looking right across your education portfolio. All the evidence says this is a really challenging time to be young.
I think you're absolutely right. I have a 17-year-old daughter who's just about to take her AS levels and is thinking about what she will do next. And I'm engaged in a round of university open day visits, but underlying her optimism and her excitement at the prospect of moving away from me and branching out on her own is that anxiety about am I making the right decision? What will this mean for me? So I think it is a really challenging time for young people. There are worries about issues around, can I afford to go to university? There are high expectations on our young people to perform really well, which does have an impact on mental health. So my job, as I see it, as the Minister for Education in Wales, is to be able to listen to those concerns and to respond to them in a positive way. And it's by listening to young people, students, would-be students, has shaped the policies that we're introducing, whether that be our diamond reforms that look to support people with their living costs at university, whether that be the new money that we've been able to give to our funding council to support universities to better develop their help for students to maintain their mental health, and if they do become unwell, that they get the adequate support for that. So being able to listen to young people and to use the powers and the resources that the Welsh Government has to try and lessen some of those worries and to be able to back the optimism that they do have about their futures and try and temper the things that are worrying them.
We're in the first year of a new student support system for higher education in Wales. Can you give us a sense of how you think it's going from your perspective?
Well, it's as you say, we are in the first academic year where Welsh students have been entitled to our new support programme, which does indeed focus on living costs. So for those perhaps that are unfamiliar or unsighted on the Welsh system, all students are supported with a minimum level of grant. So whatever your financial background, all Welsh students receive £1,000 to support their living costs. And then, of course, we have an arrangement where those from more challenging socioeconomic backgrounds are supported via grant with their living costs to a maximum of the equivalent of the living wage of just over £9,000. What we know is that the average Welsh student is in receipt of a grant of approximately £7,000. That's money that is helping them address their living costs, their accommodation fees, their resources, feeding themselves. And the reaction from Welsh students has been really, really positive. But of course, that's just one small part of our reforms that we've undertaken. That level of support is also available to our part-time students, which is a unique part of the Welsh system. We've seen a significant impact of that policy change. So we know from figures from the Student Loans Company that we have seen a 35% increase in the number of part-time students that they are supporting. And if we look at our Open University here in Wales, they are reporting a 50% increase in students starting courses with them, which is in stark contrast to what we continue to see across the border in England, where there is, real pressure on the part-time sector. So we have interim measures this year for postgraduates, but we will be able to move to full integration of our postgraduates into our system for the new academic year, where they too will be treated the same as undergraduate students, and they will be entitled to support also. And I'm really proud I'm really proud of the fact that we've been able to introduce these reforms. My officials have worked incredibly hard to ensure that the infrastructure from the Students' Loans Company, for instance, has been in place to be able to put these reforms into practice. And the response that we've had from students, I believe, is speaking for itself in terms of global numbers and overall figures. But what's really important to me is those individual stories from individual students who are, especially from those from non-traditional backgrounds, who are the first in their families to go to university, and they are able to enjoy that experience, concentrate on their studies without having to worry about how they're going to afford to pay their rent next week.
Now, one of the interesting things about Wales is that you've been looking at student support beyond undergraduate level. Can you give us a sense of the thinking and the direction of travel on that?
I think it's really important to recognise how many students want to study at a postgraduate level now. Very different from the traditional patterns when I was at university, and in a way, because of the growth in numbers at undergraduate level, it's almost become the new social mobility challenge that we really have to tackle, I believe, and making sure that the access to postgraduate study doesn't become the preserve of a certain type of individual from a certain type of background that has the ability to go on and do that. But it is so it's part of recognising and addressing issues around social mobility, but it's also about the future of the Welsh nation and the Welsh economy. We need to ensure that we have people in Wales with those high levels of qualifications if we're to grow our economy. So that's why it's really important that we recognise, yes, there is benefit to the individual. And we expect the individual, to play their part in that. But there is also benefit to the nation by increasing individuals' skills levels. That's a public good in itself, and that's why we want to play our part in ensuring that people have those opportunities.
Obviously, in England, we're expecting the Auger review of post-18 education and funding any day now. Are you worried about the impact that, say, a cut in fees could have in Wales?
I think we can speculate about what comes out of it. Whether it would do any good, I don't know. It seems to me, one day we're talking about, cap on grades, and then we're not talking about 3Ds, and then we're talking about maintenance grants, and then we're not taking it. So we can speculate, but you're right. In the end, we'll just have to wait and see. We have to be patient and wait to see what actually comes out.
Now, one of the really unique things that's going on in Wales right now is the creation of a single funder and regulator for all of post-compulsory education. What is it that you're trying to achieve here?
Well, what we're trying to do is create a commission that will have, as you said, complete oversight of the post-compulsory sector in its entirety, recognising the huge array of opportunities that are available for students and how they may choose to learn, whether that's in a traditional degree course, whether that's one of our new degree apprenticeship courses, whether they want to move seamlessly between FE and HE, our work-based learners, as well, of course, as our sixth forms, which will also be part of the commission. And what it gives us the opportunity to do is to break down some of those institutional barriers, create clear pathways for individual students to move between different providers, maybe at different points in their life, to ensure that there's good value for money, getting rid of some of the duplication that does exist in the system at the moment, at a time when resources are difficult. We can't afford to have that, as well as ensuring that we have a sector that is high quality and enjoys public confidence. So it's a huge reform, but I think if we're to ensure that the post-compulsory education and training needs of our citizens and of our economy is to be addressed, then we have to break down some of the traditional barriers that we have had, and that we get some better planning in that system as well, and then we can continue to drive quality up. We've got some fantastic institutions. FE is a particular strength of the Welsh education system, and that's not me saying that. That's recognised by our chief inspector of schools and colleges. And often they are they don't get the attention that they deserve, but they're providing some fantastic opportunities for Welsh learners. So being able to get that sector working more closely together, I think is good for the citizen, and it'll be good for the nation.
It'll be a really big culture shift for universities, though.
Oh, yes.
As they've traditionally had much more autonomy than FE colleges. How do you imagine the new body will navigate between the expectations and experiences of the different types of provider?
You're absolutely right. In many of the conversations I have with HE institutions and their boards, the issue of autonomy is a really important one. And, I take every opportunity that I can to reassure people that we're not in the business of curtailing the autonomy of our higher education institutions. And yes, in some ways, FE is regulated in a different way, but I think it is absolutely possible. And of course, we've had some advice from Harvey Weingarten about how we would look at quality systems and, from learning from best international practice. So I don't think these problems are insurmountable, but it's natural. It's absolutely natural and perfectly understandable why perhaps our colleagues in HE, there's a certain sense of nervousness about this, but I just want to be able to reassure them that we're not looking to undermine the principles of autonomy for our HE providers. What I am interested in doing is ensuring that the benefits that can be accrued from that system are also enjoyed by other parts of the sector, and that we get some of those barriers actually, because of different regulatory regimes, can be overcome and provide a more seamless system. But I'm confident that can become. But I understand why they would be concerned.
One of the central challenges you're trying to address is the age-old quest for parity of esteem between technical, vocational, and academic qualifications. How will the new body take that forward?
Well, it is a challenge, isn't it? And the challenge in our new system won't just be about technical versus HE degrees at a university. It'll happen earlier on, because our sixth forms that predominantly deliver A-levels will be sitting alongside FE colleges, which obviously offer a wide variety of post-16 qualifications. And that the issue of parity of esteem starts at that point. What's important to me is that the new commission will have oversight over the entirety of that situation. I think that in itself actually gives an equal status. It sends a very clear message that all of these issues on all of this provision is of equal value, because it's actually overseen by this independent body, rather than there's a bit of it over here and a bit the Welsh Government thinks about this bit of it, but actually we've got a Higher Education Funding Council because they're so important, that sits over there. So actually having a single body that says actually all provision, all post-compulsory education is important, I think is really important. We can plan, address gaps that we have in the system, but crucially, what's important to me is that we should never boil this down to a simple numbers game. For me, it's about ensuring that learners of whatever age, because sometimes these debates tend to crystallise, don't they, about a traditional 18-year-old, but actually this is about educational and learning and training provision for all ages, is that people are given the right advice so they can make the right choices for them to reach their aspirations. And I'm clear that there's a plethora of ways that individuals can do that. For some people, it will be that degree course that they will need to do to reach where they want to be. For other people, for other students and other learners, there may be a different path which is more relevant and will help them be the success that they want to be. So it's not about numbers, it's about making sure that Welsh learners have given the advice and have got the ability to receive that provision, and also to be able to move between different providers rather than I spoke to a young boy recently in school. He's 13 years old, 14 years old. And I asked him, had he begun to think about what he might want to do next? And he said to me, well, I can't quite decide. I don't know whether I want to do a degree in a university or whether I should do an apprenticeship. I don't want that youngster to have to decide. That's a false choice. That's a false choice. I want him to be able to do both of those things and create a system, as we're beginning to, that he is able to do both of those things. And I think that's what the commission will give us.
How would you say your own values and experiences of education are shaping what you bring to this role?
There are lots and lots of reasons why people will want to come to education later in life. I think about it in my own family. My uncle, who left school at 16, who then went back decades later at his local FE college to do a night class for a GCSE, and loved that experience and turned that experience into an A-level. And the day he got his A-level result, he was made redundant from yet another building site. And he walked from the building site in his construction clothes to his local institution and said, I just got an A today in my A-level. What can I do next? And went on to get his degree. And the pride of my grandma in her 70s going to her son's graduation, that just shows. And in terms of transforming individuals' lives, and then the impact that individual can have in their community on future generations to come. So I've seen the power of that in my own family's experience. And if we can turn Wales into a nation where people can go back at any time, then I think alongside my reforms to student finance, those will be two of my biggest things that I'm biggest proud of when I eventually leave this job.
How do you find working with vice-chancellors? Are they supportive of your agenda?
I'm very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate to work alongside some amazing vice-chancellors and college leaders, and I'm very grateful for them for the time that they are always willing to give me to sit down to talk about some of these issues, because hearing directly from them and working collaboratively together, I think we can achieve a great deal. So, clearly, sometimes those conversations are difficult and they're challenging. They're challenging to me. Sometimes I think maybe I'm challenging back to them about what I'd like to see them doing, but they're invaluable, and I'm fortunate to work alongside a group of professionals. As you can imagine, at the moment, huge anxiety about Brexit, dominating every conversation, and one of the and that creates a lack of bandwidth sometimes for other things that we need to talk about in the sector. And the sector wants to talk about, but at the moment, understandably, issues around Brexit, the potential impact on Brexit, are front and centre in all the conversations that I have with my vice chancellors. But these are really, really unsettled times for them, and we've been very clear from the moment the referendum took place. We established a HE working group straight away to begin to talk about those issues and to do what we can to mitigate them and to work with the sector to give them as much stability as they want. But at the moment, all conversations are dominated by Brexit.
As a woman in leadership who's also got a family life, what do you find particularly challenging about your role?
Oh my goodness me. I think, it's a challenge, and any woman that tells you it's not a challenge, I suspect, is perhaps not being as forthright and honest as they could be. Look, just like any other working mum, I suffer from all the same anxieties. When you're in work, you're really worrying what's going on at home, and have you not done something or done something? Oh my goodness me! And then when you're at home, you're thinking about the emails that you haven't signed off on yet, and the decisions that are waiting for you. So it's a real juggling act. But any woman that is out there working in whatever level knows the challenges that brings. What keeps me going is I'm very fortunate. My girls, I have 3 daughters, 17, 14 and and soon to be 13. They've never known any difference. So I had my children after I was already an elected politician. Being the minister has certainly added a new dimension to some of the challenges that we face as a family. But all I would say to women is, and we know in academia, in our universities, that there is an imbalance, and we need women to play a bigger role. Is that one, surround yourself with people who are going to be supportive of you. Two, be kind to yourself. You cannot do it all. Something has to give. I suffer from what I call chaos, can't have anybody over syndrome, because the house is a mess. Something has to give. I need at least 24 hours notice if somebody's going to pop round for a cup of coffee so that I can shove everything in the cupboard under the stairs. So be kind to yourself. Recognize that it is impossible to do it all. And thirdly, I think it's really important to recognise is that no matter how important other people perceive you to be, you still have that person sometimes on your shoulder that is whispering in your ear that today is the day that you're going to be found out for not being the person that should be doing this job. And at each step in my career, that voice was there when I became an assembly member at the age of 28. That voice was there when I became the first leader of a political party, a female leader of a political party in Wales, when I became the leader of the Welsh Liberal Democrats. And sometimes, I admit, sometimes it's there now as the Minister for Education. But what I always tell girls that I meet when I'm out in schools is that you have got to push that voice away, and you have got to believe in yourself. And you have got to push through that fear and do it, because you can. And I just hope that when my daughters, who are really cross because there's not stuff for packed lunch and the kit isn't ready, or I have forgotten to phone somebody that I promised to phone, and sometimes they have to have not very exciting birthday presents because it's what I've been able to grab hold of. I just hope, especially as the mother of 3 girls, that I have set an example for them, that they will have the self-belief that whatever it is they want to do, and it changes every day of the week, as you can imagine, that they just bring passion to it and that they can achieve their goals. It's anybody, it's so hard for women, I think, and for men. We live our lives online now, don't we? And we see those Instagram pictures of the perfect meal and the perfectly curated front room, or the perfectly curated outfit or holiday, or the children in matching outfits, and we put immense pressure on ourselves to live up to those expectations. But that's not real. That's not real life. That's not how most women are living their lives. And as I said, we just got to be a bit more honest about the struggles we all face, and not pretend that everything is easy. And we just need to be a bit kinder to ourselves and to the sisterhood.
Kirsty Williams, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the podcast today.